When she ignores you, the worst thing you can do is react emotionally. I don't mean you shouldn't care at all. Of course it stings, but losing control over your emotions is exactly what almost every man does, over and over again, and it's what kills attraction. You check your phone, overthink every little detail, send a message you shouldn't have, and suddenly your confidence is gone. That's the trap. Now here's the part most guys never realize. Her silence is rarely personal. It's not always about you, and it's not always rejection. Sometimes it's just a pause, a test, or even her way of figuring out what she wants. But if you tie your self-worth to a reply, you hand over all your power the second she stops texting. The truth is, most men fail this test without even realizing it. They panic, they chase, they over-explain, and by the time they notice what's happening, they've already shown neediness, desperation, or emotional instability, things that make attraction fade fast. The difference between those who lose her interest and those who maintain it isn't luck or timing. It's control over their own mind, their own reactions, and their own emotions. So before you do anything, take a breath, pause, and remember this. Silence is not a signal to act, it's information. And the men who understand that, who stay calm and grounded, are the ones who quietly take the lead, even when no one is texting back. You check your phone. Again. No reply. Hours go by. Minutes feel like hours. Your mind starts spinning, imagining every possible scenario. Did you say something wrong? Did you come off as too eager, too needy, or worse, boring? Should you text her again, even though you know you probably shouldn't? Or is she losing interest completely, and you missed your chance before it even started? It's a feeling most men know all too well. The tight knot in your stomach, the racing thoughts, the way your confidence slowly drains with every passing minute of silence. And here's the harsh reality. This anxiety isn't caused by her ignoring you. It's caused by you placing your value in her hands, letting her attention or lack of it dictate how you feel about yourself. Most men don't realize it, but this is where attraction dies. The more your self-worth depends on her response, the weaker your presence becomes, and the more her silence feels like a threat. The truth most people won't tell you is simple. Silence is only dangerous if you make it dangerous. If you stay calm, grounded, and unshakable, her ignoring you isn't rejection. It's just information. A test. A signal. A pause to see if you can maintain your composure and emotional control. Stoic psychology teaches us exactly how to handle this. Marcus Aurelius, an Epictetus, would remind you that you cannot control her actions, only your own responses. Your emotions, your mindset, and your behavior are entirely yours to manage. When you detach your self-worth from her responses, something changes. The anxiety fades, clarity emerges, and you stop reacting impulsively. You start observing. You start understanding what's actually happening instead of imagining worst-case scenarios. Calm men don't chase. Calm men don't panic. They see silence for what it is and respond with grounded action, not desperation. They maintain their energy, their purpose, and their presence. And strangely enough, this is exactly what makes them magnetic, what draws attention, respect, and attraction. This isn't some trick or manipulation. It's simply understanding human behavior, emotional boundaries, and the Stoic principle that your power lies in yourself, not in someone else's approval. Let's break down 8 Stoic-backed reasons she may be ignoring you. Understanding these will not only help you see what's happening, but also give you the tools to respond in a way that keeps your emotional power intact. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about seeing reality clearly and acting from calm, grounded strength. Reason 1. You became emotionally predictable. Humans are wired to notice change, contrast, and mystery. If everything about you is always available, your attention, your responses, your emotional energy, it becomes predictable. When someone knows exactly what you'll do or say, curiosity fades. Attraction is not just about looks or status. It's about presence, unpredictability, and the sense of value that comes from someone being emotionally grounded and not always on call. Most men make the mistake of reacting instantly, replying to every message immediately, and oversharing their thoughts or feelings early on. When you give away too much of yourself too soon, you remove the space she needs to wonder about you, to feel drawn in by the unknown, or to sense that you have an independent life. Stoics understood this instinctively. Your value comes from restraint, self-mastery, and the ability to remain calm no matter what is happening outside. Reason 2. You overinvested too early. This ties closely to predictability, but it's more about emotional attachment. Many men start giving before they have earned respect or understanding. They invest energy, attention, and validation immediately, seeking certainty that the other person will reciprocate. Stoic wisdom teaches us to avoid attachment to outcomes. Marcus Aurelius emphasized focusing on what you can control, your own mind, your own actions, not the reactions of others. When you chase certainty, you hand her control over your emotional state. She senses this overinvestment subconsciously, and it reduces attraction because you no longer appear independent or self-contained. Reason 3. She's testing emotional leadership. Silence is often a test, whether conscious or not. It asks one critical question: can you stay calm without reassurance? If you panic, overtext, or act needy, you fail the test. But if you maintain your composure, continue with your life, and avoid reacting impulsively, you pass without saying a word. This is not about proving yourself to her, it's about maintaining leadership over your own emotions. Stoicism is essentially training for this kind of test. Emotional challenges will come, but your power comes from how you respond, not from what others do. Reason 4. You reacted instead of responding. There's a huge difference between reacting and responding, and it's one of the most overlooked aspects of modern dating. Reacting is impulsive. It comes from fear, neediness, or insecurity. Responding is deliberate. It comes from calm assessment, emotional clarity, and personal standards. When you double text, explain yourself unnecessarily, or apologize without cause, you signal emotional instability. It communicates that your sense of security depends on her attention or approval. This instantly lowers perceived value and can create distance rather than closeness. The Stoics taught restraint in all areas because impulsive action often leads to long-term loss. Reason 5. Your attention lost value. Attention is a form of currency in human relationships. When you give it away too freely or too often, it loses its impact. Marcus Aurelius spoke about restraint and measured action, not as a form of cruelty, but as a way to maintain integrity and value. Think about it. If every time she goes silent, you chase, you immediately respond to every message, or you over-explain yourself, your attention becomes a commodity that is always available. People naturally devalue what is given too easily. By holding back, by being measured in your availability, you signal that your attention is earned and that you have an independent life. This increases curiosity and respect, and it naturally draws her back without coercion. Reason 6. She feels no polarity. Polarity is the natural attraction that exists between two individuals when one leads with grounded confidence and the other responds. If your energy is anxious, reactive, or emotionally dependent on her response, the polarity disappears. Attraction thrives on calm confidence and internal stability, not emotional urgency. Stoicism teaches you to cultivate this internal anchor. When you are stable and your value is independent of external approval, you naturally exude this polarity. She senses it. Her attention returns not because you chased it, but because your presence creates a magnetic pull that cannot be forced or faked. Reason 7. You stopped leading the interaction. Leadership in interaction doesn't mean dominance or control over someone else. It means guiding the emotional flow while remaining calm and deliberate. When you follow her pace, match her mood, or react to her silence with anxiety, you give her control over the dynamic. A Stoic approach is to lead without forcing outcomes. That might mean deciding when to communicate, choosing how much attention to give, or setting boundaries calmly. Leading the interaction isn't about manipulation. It's about maintaining your own emotional sovereignty while allowing the relationship to progress naturally. Reason 8. You tied your identity to her response. This is perhaps the most fundamental reason men lose attraction. Their sense of self becomes dependent on another person's behavior. Epictetus said, "If you want to be free, desire nothing that depends on others." When you base your mood, confidence, or self-worth on whether she replies or engages, you give away your freedom. The moment your identity depends on her attention, you stop being attractive and start being reactive. A Stoic mindset is about internal mastery. Your value, your confidence, and your stability come from within. When you maintain this internal standard, her silence no longer threatens you. It becomes just another piece of information, nothing more, nothing less. Take a moment right now and ask yourself, how do I usually react to silence? Do I panic, chase, or over-explain? Or do I stay grounded, calm, and focused on my own life? Awareness of your patterns is the first step toward transformation. Understanding these 8 reasons is not about blaming her or trying to manipulate outcomes. It's about seeing reality clearly, maintaining emotional control, and learning how calm, grounded men attract naturally. The moment you internalize these principles, silence stops being a source of anxiety and becomes a tool for clarity, self-mastery, and even attraction. Here's the Stoic response that changes everything, and it's simpler than most people expect. Step 1, pause. Do nothing. No messages. No explanations. No emotional reactions disguised as clarity or closure. Silence creates pressure, but pressure is not an emergency. Most men lose ground because they feel compelled to act immediately, as if silence demands a response. It doesn't. Pausing breaks the cycle of anxiety and impulsive behavior. It gives you space to regain control over your emotions instead of letting them control you. Silence reveals more than words ever will about her intentions, about the dynamic, and about your own emotional habits. Step 2. Detach your self-worth from her behavior. This is where most men struggle. If your mood rises and falls based on whether she replies, you've already given away your power. Your value does not increase when she texts back faster, and it does not decrease when she goes quiet. Stoic philosophy is clear on this. Anything that depends on someone else is unstable. The moment you stop measuring yourself by her attention, the anxiety begins to fade. You become calmer, more centered, and less reactive, and that shift alone changes how you show up in every interaction. Step 3. Redirect energy inward. Instead of staring at your phone or replaying conversations in your head, put that energy somewhere useful. Focus on your work, your goals, your physical health, your discipline, and your personal standards. This isn't a distraction, it's a realignment. Attraction isn't rebuilt by chasing, it's rebuilt when you become absorbed in your own life. Purpose creates presence. Discipline creates confidence. And confidence changes how people respond to you without you saying a word. Step 4. Lead calmly when contact resumes. If she reaches out again, don't punish her with coldness, and don't reward the silence with overenthusiasm. Stay balanced. Respond without resentment. Speak without explaining yourself. Keep your tone grounded and direct. Leadership here means emotional steadiness, not control. You don't need to prove anything, clarify anything, or demand reassurance. Calm presence communicates far more than words ever could. This is the transformation most men never experience because they never slow down long enough to see it happen. Anxious men chase because they're afraid to lose. Stoic men observe because they're secure in themselves. Calm men become magnetic because they don't need validation to feel whole. When you stop reacting emotionally, the entire dynamic shifts. Silence no longer feels like rejection. It becomes information. It shows you where you stand, who you're dealing with, and how strong your emotional foundation really is. And when you control your reactions, you control your outcomes, whether that relationship continues or not. If you want emotional control instead of chaos, if you want respect instead of chasing validation, subscribe to Daily Stoic Mindset. This channel is about building calm strength, emotional discipline, and clarity in relationships and life. Like the video to support the channel, and comment Stoic if you're choosing calm strength over desperation. Remember this, silence doesn't take your power away. Losing control over yourself does. The man who controls himself always controls the outcome.